Hi, I'm Nick Priegnitz with Diesel Insights. Last week we talked about cold weather operation. This week, still cold, but we're going to talk about LLYs and overheating. So this one's for all you Lily lovers. We've got a good one for you on LLY overheating. Picture this. It's 110 degrees out. You're with your family. You got the trailer behind you. You're heading up a huge pass. Engine coolant temp is coming off at 215, 216, 217, heading towards 220. You're getting that pit in your stomach. Like, I'm not sure it's going to come back down. The engine fan is roaring. This whole thing is working against you. You're just waiting to hear, like, I probably should pull over. You got that guy on your shoulder telling you might want to pull over soon. All that hot air, that 110 degree hot air is coming through the radiator, one of the smaller size radiators in the Duramax fleet, going past the intercooler, picking up a bunch more hot air over your AC condenser. AC's cranking, she's just kicking hot air out. Transcooler into the engine bay, right? By this time, that air is hot. We're talking 140, 150 degrees if you're lucky. Into the air filter. Through the air filter, into the face of the turbocharger. Now, big restriction at the face of the turbocharger. There's a pocket of a vacuum right at the face of the turbocharger because some engineer at GM who's probably lost his job by now did a really bad job at designing the intake air elbow. Because of that design, this turbocharger has to work extra hard for boost, especially when you're climbing a grade like that. All that extra work, extra drive pressure, extra heat in the exhaust, that heat's coming off the manifolds, it's coming off the up pipes. That extra heat's being generated by horsepower you would be using to drive the rear axle. Now that horsepower is getting kicked into the engine coolant temp as well. So you got hot air coming in, you got hot air going into the engine. I mean, this thing's got no chance in hell of making it. That is, unless you replace the intake air elbow. What we have here is the S&B intake elbow. It's a cast aluminum piece. It's designed to cleanly get air from the air filter into the face of the turbocharger. And it just comes together with a V-band clamp like that. And what it does is get rid of the negative vacuum pocket that would normally exist in front of the compressor wheel right here. And that is the most recommended fix we recommend on these LLYs. They're so prone to overheating. Just replacing that intake air elbow makes the turbocharger so much more efficient. It takes you out of that negative feedback loop and gets this truck back right-sized. Next thing, external oil cooler. Okay, and in dash 12, you get that external oil cooler, put it down below the radiator, somewhere where it's not going to pick heat up off the radiator. What we want to do is add capacity to the cooling system, but specifically where it applies to the oil. We want to narrow that delta between engine coolant temperature and oil temperature. As we can bring that delta closer, we can keep this engine alive. Okay, so as engine coolant temp crests 220, oil temp is getting out of control. Okay, that oil temp's getting out of control, and when that happens, you lose oil pressure. And when you lose oil pressure on this engine, that's a really bad situation, not only for all the reasons that you think it's bad, but also for piston cooling. The piston squirters don't work below 27 psi oil pressure, thereabouts. And believe it or not, your oil pressure will go down below that number. When that happens, no piston cooling. It's only a matter of time, guys. You're going to crack a piston. We want to avoid that situation. So that's why I recommend the external oil cooler. Well, let's cover a few more of the basics. Okay, you want to use your truck for towing. Please do not put a ranch hand bumper, one of those huge frickin' bumpers on the thing if you're going to be out in the heat with it. We've done other episodes on that in the past. This truck needs front airspace. As you notice, as the trucks get newer and newer and newer, the fronts get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is to take on more cooling capacity. Especially if you're running tuned, you're using more power. The more cooling capacity you can get over that stack, the better off you're going to be. Next thing is the condition of the radiator and the fan and fan clutch. And what I mean by that is how dirty is the radiator? You got a 10-year-old truck, have you ever taken it out and pressure washed it? Is it full of cottonwoods? Is it full of mud? If you haven't cleaned it, clean it. If you haven't inspected your fan, inspect your fan. Fan clutch, have you ever heard the fan come on? You should hear it roaring as the truck passed 215. I mean, that thing should be on. If it's not, you got a problem. Also, have you taken the fan shroud out? If you did you put the lower part of the fan shroud back in? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's got to be there for a reason though. The fan shroud is designed to pull air in an engineered way across the cooling stack. If the fan shroud's not there and intact, it's not doing its job. It needs to be there. And just like we talked about the intake elbow, how's the rest of your intercooling system? Have you boost tested the truck? Tested it for boost leaks? If you have any boost leaks, you're going to significantly lower the efficiency of the turbocharging system. So we're going to take it up to 10 psi, leave the regulator right there, and then I'm going to turn the air off. And look at how that boost gauge falls. Okay, so we got a leak in this system, and I can hear it over here on the passenger side. Turn the air back on. There it is right there. Any part of efficiency you pull out of that system has to be made up for with turbine horsepower. And that turbine horsepower comes from fuel being consumed and used and burned. And that fuel being used and burned is going to drive heat in the engine. So the more efficient your turbocharging system, that is clean air filter, no leaks, no EGR leaks, EGR functioning properly, no problems in the system, that's going to be more efficient and that's going to keep the truck from overheating. Long story short, there's no need to sell your truck and get a new one to improve its towing capacity. The LLY is a more than capable truck for towing up a grade for a sustained amount of time in the heat. All you need to do is pay attention to a few little details, make a few improvements, and you'll be there loving the truck, having a good time, saving yourself some dough. I'm Nick Priegnitz, this is Diesel Insights. We'll see you next time. If you like these videos and you want to learn more, check out the Diesel Tuners blog, dieseltunersblog.com.